Hello people of the internet, welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you're new. So this case really hits close to home. It took place literally not even 10 minutes away from my house. I came across this on an app called Crime Door. If you don't know what Crime Door is, it is an app that shows you crimes that have happened in your area. I can't remember how I found Crime Door, but I downloaded it because I was genuinely curious, because I feel like I live in a generally safe area, but this proved me wrong, so yeah. I 10 out of 10 recommend this app if you are into true crime. This is not sponsored because who am I? Anywho, I came across the story of Faith Hedgepeth on this app. Her story left me heartbroken, it left me devastated, and it left me mad. Upon learning about Faith, I took it upon myself to do further research and search on Google because I'm not sure how up to date Crime Door keeps their information, and I wanted to know if more has progressed within the case, and it has. Recently in September, they arrested her murderer after 9 years of this being an unsolved case, and we will get into that. Faith was born on September 26, 1992 to Roland and Connie Hedgepeth. She was born in Warren County, but she grew up in Hollister, which is a small town on the border of Halifax and Warren County. Her family belongs to the Halloween Native American tribe. Faith was adored by absolutely everyone, especially her parents, Roland and Connie. It was a rough time for our family, but Faith came at a time that gave us hope. She came at a time when I needed her most, to keep focused, to keep working, and to keep our family together, said Connie. A couple months after Faith was born, her parents end up getting a divorce, and Roland moves to Hickory, North Carolina, which is about a 4-hour drive from their previous home in Hollister. Now, the distance kept them apart physically, but the bond between Faith and her father was still as strong as ever, and they kept a lot of close contact. She lived with her mother Connie and her 18-year-old sister Rolanda, and because of their huge age difference, Rolanda was more like a second mother figure to her. I helped take care of her from the beginning. Everywhere we went, people thought she was my child, and she was. I felt like she was my child. Growing up, Faith was the golden girl. She was an honor roll student, she was a cheerleader, and she was a part of all kinds of different clubs and organizations. She even earned the Gates Millennium Scholarship, which is highly selective when it comes to attending UNC. Faith actually would have been the first person in her family to graduate from college. Her father attended UNC at one point, but wasn't able to finish after starting a family. She was the definition of Carolina girl, go Tar Heels. Faith knew exactly where she wanted to go. She was studying to become a pediatrician because her passion was with helping children. Her and her friend Gabrielle Evans had dreams of returning to their community and having medical careers there and giving back. But passion doesn't make school any easier, and boy do I understand that, okay? Faith struggled like the average student. You can imagine how much of a struggle it is to find a balance when you're trying to juggle classes, homework, exams, a number of clubs, and a social life. I mean, being a college student is hard. It had even come to the point where things had gotten so difficult for Faith that she had confided in her mom, saying, hey, maybe I'll just become a teacher instead. Her mom's response was a very motherly, loving answer, with telling her that the world is open to her, and if she put her mind to it, she could do anything. On September 2nd, 2012, the family gathered a couple of days before Faith's murder to celebrate Connie's birthday early. Faith at the time worked at Red Robin in Durham, and it's wild because I eat here. This is my dad's favorite restaurant. Anyway, Faith at the time worked at this Red Robin, and she waited to get off of her shift, and then from there, her and her roommate Karina Rosario go to her mom's party. The last time Faith would speak to her mother is when she called her on her actual birthday on that Tuesday and wished her a happy birthday. The last time she would talk to her dad is sending him a text informing him of her plans of joining UNC's Alpha Pi Omega. A little more than 24 hours from that conversation, Faith would be found dead in her apartment.
My last memory, not my last memory of her, but my last living memory of her is here at this home. She came to visit me on Father's Day in June of 2012. I had just undergone a total hip transplant, and about a little more than a week before, and I was very weak, and but she came to see me for Father's Day, and I had no idea it was the last time I was going to see her.
Before I get started with discussing the details of the case, I just want to take a minute to remind everybody to be mindful and respectful to the victim and their families. Please do not be disrespectful in the comments if you are watching this. And also a reminder that this is a true crime video. If this is the type of content to make you uncomfortable, please click away. I have other content that is not like this. September 6, 2012, on a Thursday, Faith attended a Rush event for Alpha Pi Omega, then followed it with a study session afterwards with her roommate Karina at the Davis Library on campus. The night wasn't over when they were done studying. They decided to go back to their apartment around 7:30 p.m. that night, to leave again around midnight to go clubbing to treat themselves. They lived in an apartment complex near Old Chapel Hill Road, near the Durham-Chapel Hill border. At the time, the apartment complex was called Hawthorne at the View, but now it has been since renamed to Preserve at the Park. Karina and Faith were friend roommates. At the time, Karina was letting Faith stay there just for the time being until she was able to save enough money to get an apartment of her own. That night, they decided they wanted to go to a now closed club in Chapel Hill called The Thrill. This club was in downtown Chapel Hill, just on Rosemary Street. At the time, it was a very, very, very popular club for the students because they would allow people underage in. Surveillance footage showed them arriving that night around 12:40 a.m. Karina started to feel sick, so they decided to leave the club around 2:06 to 2:30 and didn't arrive home until 3 a.m. A neighbor claimed to hear them moving around, and also Faith had Facebook activity around that time confirming this. Even though Karina had complained about having stomach issues, this didn't stop her from leaving the apartment later on at 4:25 a.m. with a friend. So at 4:25 a.m., Karina had a friend come pick her up, and she left the apartment unlocked where Faith was sleeping in her bedroom. In the morning, Karina had called Faith for a ride home, but she did not answer. Marisol Rangel, another friend, answered Karina's calls and was able to drive her home, and they arrived back at the apartment around 11 a.m. to discover Faith's dead body in her bed, partially nude, and her body wrapped up in the comforter. She had appeared to suffer severe head trauma, and there was blood all over the room. Over the 911 call, Karina was asked if Faith was still breathing, to which she responded with, "I don't know, I don't think so, there's blood everywhere." When the police arrived on the crime scene, they reported her body was hanging off the bed, face up and only wearing a black shirt, which was pulled over her face. A lot came out with the autopsy releasing in September 2014. Her death was due to severe head trauma from a blunt force. Her arms and legs were cut up and bruised, and blood was found underneath her fingernails. The object believed to be used to have caused her death was a Bacardi bottle that was usually kept in the kitchen. The bottle had contained DNA and tissue fragments on it. Police told ABC News in 2016, at this point 4 years have gone by with this being unsolved, that she was more than likely raped before she was murdered, and through this they were able to collect semen from her body and create a DNA profile. At the crime scene, the police also found a Time Out fast food bag on the bed with handwritten "jealous" and "I'm not stupid bitch" written on it. Unlike any of the other pieces of evidence that they collected, this bag did not have blood on it. Police Chief Blue had said, "Investigators have excellent evidence in this case, and we are making a public appeal for any information that will help us tie this evidence to Faith's killer. This is not a cold case. This has been and remains an active investigation." Police generated an image of what the suspect might look like using Paragon Nanolabs, which is a genetic testing lab which is located in Reston, Virginia. The results came back with the suspect being of Native American or European descent, or Latino with olive skin, brown or hazel eyes, and black hair. Keep in mind that this image did not rule out that others may have been involved. The suspect was believed to be someone Faith knew, but due to her outgoing personality, this detail didn't help at all because her social circle was large. She was connected to an extended amount of people at the UNC community. More than one person of interest was being interviewed, but because the DNA didn't match, they were all cleared. A search warrant in September 2014 showed that initially the police were looking into two of Karina's former ex-boyfriends, but again, they were cleared because their DNA did not match. One of the ex-boyfriends was named Eric Jones. Karina and his relationship was a very rocky one. It was always up and down, and at times abusive. Karina even contemplated getting a restraining order against Eric. Faith had allegedly went with her to get it done, and this didn't make Eric the happiest man in the world. Allegedly made him so mad that he threatened Faith if him and Karina didn't get back together, allegedly. All of that alone would make him a good prime #1 suspect, so I see why the police would initially look into him, but again, DNA cleared. The family offered a $40,000 reward for information that led to the arrest of the person or persons of interest. Throughout this investigation, over 2,000 people have been questioned, and the DNA of more than 100 people has been tested, but for 9 years, there still wasn't a match. With such strong evidence, it wasn't about if the case was going to get solved, it was just the matter of when. Faith's father had a fear with the more time that passed, the further they would get to the truth of knowing what had happened to his daughter. Faith's sister didn't doubt the department's investigation, but there was no way that she would have thought it would have taken 9 years, and nothing can prepare you for that at all. On September 16th, 9 years later, the DNA was connected to Miguel Enrique Seguro Olivares. I hope I didn't butcher his name, but then again, he's a murderer, so I don't care. Doing the math, he would have been 19 years old when he committed the crime, the same age as Faith. Upon his arrest, he was charged with first-degree murder and being held with no bond. He was appointed a public defender, and he was assigned a probable cause hearing on October 7th. He is currently being held at the Durham County Detention Center, which is only like a good 20 minutes away from my house. Miguel moved to the United States from Guatemala in 2010, and he worked here as a painter. He was never a student at UNC, nor did he have many friends that even went to the school. His most recent address was in Durham. This is where he worked as the painter. Before moving to Durham, he actually lived in an apartment complex in Chapel Hill.
Son say anything to you? Did he have any?
Yeah, he say he don't know the girl.
His mother commented saying, "My son is not a murderer. I believe in my son." And he said he doesn't know the girl. A family friend wrote into a news station stating that his heinous act doesn't fit the person that she knows. But before getting arrested for this crime, Miguel didn't have the cleanest record. In 2014, he was convicted on a DWI charge. He has pending traffic violations and offenses and an active warrant to appear in court. But because he seemed like a guy just in the crowd, he didn't stick out as a suspect. Hunter Glass, a private investigator who worked on the case, said Miguel had been at a party at Faith's apartment complex. You can't deny one thing about this case. The image software that they used to generate a composite of the suspect in 2016 pretty much matches the description of Miguel. Connie Hedgepeth, upon hearing the news, said, "When I got the news this morning, I didn't do anything but cry and thank God and praise God because I put it in his hands and it was his timing." Roland had commented saying it has been a long 9 years.
I've always heard that, a parent should never have to bury their children or their child. And I guess in a perfect world, that's true.
I couldn't even imagine. Like 9 years, guys. 9 years. Police and prosecutors have declined to release a lot of details about this case because it is still active. This information includes whether Miguel knew Faith or not and if he had a motive. The only thing that they did confirm is that he wasn't a person of interest at the beginning of the investigation. I'm happy that the Hedgepeth family was actually able to get answers, even though I know they probably wish they could have gotten them sooner.
Not going to change anything if we know who did it. But to me, my biggest question is why?
At least now there can be someone held accountable and someone that they could get behind bars. Faith was no doubt a loving, bubbly girl who left impressions on everyone and everywhere she went. Her impact continues to live on today through the Faith Hedgepeth Memorial Scholarship, which is offered to help Native American women from a North Carolina tribe earn a higher education. Faith's dream was always to help people, and now she is helping women like herself every single day. Since the scholarship has been around, they have actually been able to give out 22 $1,000 scholarships, which is amazing. I plan to stay updated with Faith's case, so if you follow me on Twitter, you may see those updates. Thank you guys so much for watching. Again, be mindful, respectful of the victim and the victim's families. I will link below anything dealing with Faith if you guys want to check those out. Leave me comments below if you have any cases that you would like me to talk about or shed light on. I would love to do that for you guys. But thank you guys for listening. That's all I have for you today. Namaste. Have a nice day, guys.